Mechanics unions are strongly criticizing American and Southwest Airlines after our CBS News investigation raised questions about the oversight of aircraft maintenance. We interviewed more than 24 airline mechanics and reviewed years of FAA documents. U.S. aviation is currently experiencing an unparalleled period of safety, but in the last few years, the FAA changed how it regulates airlines. Kris Van Cleave is at Reagan National Airport outside Washington. Kris, good morning.
Good morning. As part of this 8-month investigation, we found cases that raise the question whether some FAA investigators may be using different interpretations of the same regulations, and a whistleblower office that can identify problems but can't take its own enforcement action.
They do retribution against mechanics that find problems.
In interviews with 26 airline mechanics at Southwest and American Airlines, all expressed concerns about undue pressure to cut corners or not write up issues to get planes back in service faster. Claims consistent with FAA whistleblower complaints and at least 32 anonymous industry-wide reports since 2015. Several American mechanics agreed to speak on camera, but asked we protect their identity for fear of retaliation.
Sooner or later, somebody's not going to see something because yesterday they were intimidated by what a manager or supervisor might have said to them.
This 2015 FAA whistleblower investigation substantiated allegations American Airlines managers pressured 6 Chicago mechanics to not record discrepancies, take shortcuts, or improperly sign off on work which was not actually completed. Warning, it also appears the concerns may be much more prevalent across American's organization. 21 FAA follow-up investigations were launched, relying in part on the airline's own internal reviews. 2 resulted in letters of correction.
Mechanics have no place to go.
Gary Santos is an American mechanic in New York. He says he's risking his job by speaking to us on camera.
Do you feel like the FAA is doing enough in its role as the oversight here to be policing these maintenance issues?
They're in an unenviable position because they have to both police the airline and promote the airline. The fact that mechanics can be harassed and it's not considered regulatory violation, that's a problem.
Mechanics can file complaints with their airline, their union, or the FAA. But the FAA office investigating whistleblower complaints can only recommend other offices take follow-up action. And we found indications FAA investigators may be interpreting regulations differently. Some whistleblower complaints to the FAA alleging mechanics were pressured were substantiated, essentially confirmed at American. But when different investigators found similar behavior at Southwest, it was not substantiated, despite those investigators noting the motivation behind management questioning mechanics when they discover anything outside the scope of a maintenance task appears as a tool used to influence the relaxing of standards to look the other way.
Shouldn't the FAA all be on the same page about what the regulations are?
That's the hope. There was efforts 25 years ago to try to get the FAA personnel consistent. There's still inconsistency, even today. The FAA was putting a lot of faith in the safety management systems
Of the airlines.
Of the airlines.
In 2015, the FAA moved from focusing on enforcement to compliance and relying heavily on the airline's own safety programs to meet FAA standards. Since 2014, the number of enforcement actions against airlines has dropped roughly 70%.
Do you think there's a willingness by the FAA to come down hard on an airline?
The inspectors in the FAA are out there doing their jobs when they can do it, but then you've got the oversight or the control of the top of the FAA saying, we're not going to persecute, we're not going to fine.
American and Southwest are currently in contract negotiations with mechanics. Both say they do not tolerate a hostile work environment, and the FAA oversight system is working.
It's important that everybody understand that at American, if it's not safe, it's not flying.
I have the highest confidence in the work that our mechanics do, and also that any issue that's brought up, any issue is dealt with appropriately.
The FAA declined our request for an on-camera interview, but insists the nation's aviation system is safer than it's ever been, saying in a statement to CBS This Morning, the FAA constantly works to improve consistency, safety data collection, and risk analysis. The agency promises swift and appropriate action if safety standard violations are discovered. We should tell you the DOT Inspector General is currently investigating the FAA's oversight of maintenance programs at Allegiant, American, and Southwest. Norah?
An important investigation and great reporting there, Kris, by you and the whole team. Thank you.